welcome to Eden Fractal, meeting number 50. Today is Wednesday, May 17th. I'm here with all my pals, Eric and Sebastian, Jorge and Noam, and Pat Nova, Bad Joy, and Pascal and Tadas, and somebody else has joined too. We're also speaking with Lisa, and Fractalian was here, and Vlad is just joining now too. So we're at the top of the hour. We're going to head into breakout rooms in a couple minutes. I'm going to share a quick presentation. But thanks everybody for being here. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you're having a great day. Would anybody like to share any thoughts for everybody watching that's here right now before I get into a little quick presentation? I'll go into the presentation. Okay, cool. Yeah, we were talking about all sorts of, we were talking about email and Telegram and all sorts of interesting stuff too, but we can get into that another time. I'll just share the presentation real quickly here. So, as always, I've been posting the videos at edenfractal.com/videos, and I haven't actually done the most recent video, but you can check out the 48th and 47th, and I'll add the 49th here pretty soon. Of course, you can scroll down and find more and more videos for all our meetings, and then on the Eden Cares YouTube channel, I just published the last week's video where we discussed Das's idea to respect signatories on the community account, the MSIG, and Pascal's questions about allocating fees in ESV-ADM. I recommend watching it and exploring around. I'll have some timestamps there soon so people can learn more. And of course, people can go to edenfractal.com and t.me/edenfractal for more details and exciting stuff going on. And yeah, there's the Eden Creators YouTube channel. I encourage everybody to share with friends and subscribe and stuff like that. All the Eden Fractal videos, as well as many other related shows. Also, just an interview with Patrick that will be coming out soon. Patrick's coming out. I actually should pull that up. So my apologies for forgetting to bring it up visually, but Patrick is coming out with an Antelope workshop pretty soon. Check out the Nova Crypto Ltd YouTube channel if you type in YouTube or Telegram to check out some great content coming out soon about Eden Fractal and many other great initiatives. And then, right now we're going to go into breakout rooms in about a minute or so. So once again, welcome everybody. And on the agenda for the Agendas game, I made two proposals today, or two topic proposals rather. So the two topic proposals that I made are one about, well, there's actually a proposal, should we use Telegram polls more often during meetings? I think we can cooperate better by asking questions and signal our opinion in Telegram polls during meetings. So what do you think? I can refresh this. I don't know if anybody voted on this. I just put it up pretty recently. I see one person voted yes, so sounds good. I was talking with Noam about that and Patrick last week as well. And then I put up another topic about signals, games, and notions, and I can share some philosophy of games and a plan to create new consensus games with consortium notions, stuff like that. So I can get into that, but first we'll get into Eden plus Fractal. So we're going to breakout rooms. If anyone wants to make, I didn't check in for the last 10 minutes or so, so I'll check to see if anybody else put up a top proposal too. But of course, everybody's welcome to put up top proposals. I put up these two because I think it would be cool to put it up, but everybody can post it here as always with that. So I encourage people to vote on those and make your own top proposals if there's anything to get discussed. But yeah, now we're going to go into Eden plus Fractal breakout rooms. So yeah. I can start them now. Does anybody have any thoughts you want to share before we go into breakout rooms? I guess that's no. I hope you're enjoying, I suppose, breakfast, Jorge. And I have opened all the rooms, so everybody has a great time.
Thanks, man. See you.
Welcome. Thanks, Sebastian.
Hi, Eric, Dan. You're muted, Dan.
Hey, Tadas, and hey, everyone. How you doing?
Good.
Nice. Glad to hear it. So, Pascal's joining now too. Hello, Pascal. Would anybody like to lead us in this breakout room session? If not, I can do it.
I'll nominate them.
Okay, sounds good. So, would anybody like to? Hey, Pascal, good to see you.
Hey.
Would anybody like to kick us off and share what you've been up to lately to help the community or whatever cool stuff you've been doing? Quite a quiet meeting today so far. Everybody's chilled. Oh, is that Pascal?
Yeah, maybe I'll start something. So, um,
Okay, cool.
a lot of things on my end. If you don't, in terms of social fi, this is the area where I'm putting most of my energy. And then social fi is defined as combining the social networks and the DeFi, how we can support content creators, those who use social networks to create content. And blockchain technology is powerful for that. So if you don't mind, I just want to take this 1 minute to share my screen a little bit. It may help understand what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I publish in terms of how we can experience Eden on other blockchains. So I published an article on Quill. Quill is a blockchain-based social network that reward content creators. So when you put your content there, people can they can pay to read. It's a pay-to-read platform, and they can pay with any token they have. So I wanted to experience a pay-to-read platform, and then that way I introduce Eden on Bitcoin, a governed Bitcoin community project. Very interesting. So if you want to read more, you need to. I was trying, and all the content is on chain. It's using Avis, and if you want to read this content, you have to pay 26 cents, for experimentation, and you can pay with EOS even, which is very, very interesting. So it's a little bit of experience at this point, but the Eden on Bitcoin project is I'm really putting some effort there. Bitcoin is actually one of the blockchain that is, the attention is there. The attention is back on Bitcoin. So showing that we can deploy a governed Bitcoin community, they're using the Eden process. Each week we can meet and then share what we have done to support the Bitcoin cause using the process that we all know. So it's one of the things that I'm exploring now. So this article was the first that I've done this week. The second one, it was mostly like physical activity. So I'm preparing to launch here in Montreal a physical meetups where people can come and share like their social fire activities. They are publishing on Sniverse, they are publishing on Bitcoin, they are publishing on other blockchains, and then we want to reward them to use our process to reward them physically when they come to meetups, what they are doing. So Eden on Bitcoin will be one of the activity will be pushing forward physically. So meeting people in the real. Another one. So this I'm sure my time. I will just stop sharing. As you have time, okay. I think my time is extended. So that was my contribution this week. Again, I'm pushing the social fi vertical in the industry and then going blockchain agnostic. So everything that people publish on chain and monetize, so that they can monetize their content. It's what social fi is about, and powered by this Eden process. So actually, for now, it's manual. It's not coded yet, but the process has to be run manually, and then at some point, we'll find a way to bring some coding. So that's my contribution this week. Thanks. If there's any question, I will take later. If not, I will go to Tadas.
Thanks, Pascal. Yeah, so this week, as every week lately, I've been working on Firmament. Now I'm created a component that connects EVM with IPFS. So once firm chain contract submits an event, that component writes pins the file that event signals to the IPFS. So this is a critical part of this of this architecture, where firm chains will signal what should be pinned onto address of a chain in IPFS. Yeah, and I experienced some issues with IPFS. IPFS main IPFS node has and currently has an interesting issue where it kills people's routers, home routers. Well, kills it just the home router crashes and when reboots typically. And that started happening to me. I found a configuration where it stopped crashing and now it works for me. But there's the worrying thing is that I don't think, I'm not sure yet if that configuration will solve the issue for everyone. So I will try to distribute my app with that configuration, but yeah, I will still research if that solves the problem for everyone or not. Yeah, I also participated in an Eden Fractal update hosted by Patrick. Yes, on Monday. Yeah, that's all for me. And Eric, would you like to go next?
Sure. Right. So I'm focused on, of course, implementing fractal governance within a nonprofit. So part of that is figuring out the test. So when you figure out what you're doing and line that out and do research, you have to figure out what confidence level is right, and that tells you the sample size of who you need. And then you have to evaluate the success. We're tracking motivation. So I'm looking for a validated survey, because if you don't use one, then you have to burn up part of your sample size just validating the survey. So you have to test the survey, and then you have to give the survey and apply the results. So I've been doing a lot in terms of researching exactly what test, what method, how to do it, what survey. So I've been looking for a validated survey and spent lots of time with that. But the other part is you got to convince the organizations to go participate in your research to actually put the fractal governance. So I spent probably 4 hours on Sunday with going over one organization, going all the personalities and how to do it and how to get in. So you have to realize that you just can't just go and say, would you like fractal governance? That doesn't work very well. So you have to figure out all the players that have to accept it. I also wrote up a presentation for the board of another organization, and they're having their board meeting tomorrow. So there's a presentation to say, hey, you should work with this guy. But I just talk about the benefits of partnering and what they get. I don't really go into fractal governance too much because that would just freak them out. So with one organization, we're actually making a presentation. The other one, we were busy prepping a presentation to give their board and how to work with them. And it turns out that there's a lot of players involved, including even the Rotary Club. And there's some movers and shakers. So you've got to realize there's a board of directors and different forces. So it's important to identify those forces and come up with a strategy. So I did a presentation based on a strategy. We came up with one organization and we developed the strategy for a second organization. Other than that, I'm going on validating the methodology used to test, which makes sure we can run fractal governance and evaluate its effectiveness of doing one thing. And that's basically it. So I'll turn it over to Dan.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Great to hear all the progress you're making as always. Really exciting. And also to Das and Pascal, really cool stuff. I'll jump into it, share my screen with some of the things I've been up to this week. So, as I showed before the beginning of the meeting, I, as always, produce the video. Each week I produce the video and I propose the MSIG. So I did those, and there's always some minor editing and then putting it together. And then there's also timestamps coming soon that I get some help with. And so that's one thing that I always am here for. I just put together this presentation fairly quickly, so I'm going to be trying to encapsulate and remember. I'm always focusing like full time and helping this community basically, but sometimes don't remember everything that I do, and I'm busy working. So this morning I was working a lot on the presentation because I made two proposals on consortium. One was, should we use Telegram polls more often during meetings? And then the other one, I showed these before, but the other one was Signals, Games, and Notion. And I've been working on this idea for Signals for a while. And so I spent a while, first few hours this morning, just trying to get a presentation ready for this in case it's the topic that we discuss. So one of the things I've been working on is pages for Notion, for Signals, and for Games. So I think that games, I have a cool picture with Cosmo, the creator, and talking about gaming on, and then I curated some links here. I still want to actually like write an article about it and make it better, but I curated a bunch of stuff like from the town hall I hosted. This was like 3 or 4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago, where we discussed it. So I curated this page over here where we discuss games quite a bit and like trying to get some of the foundational ideas about why games are helpful for the world, I think, and helpful for consensus games. So kind of laying a lot of that kind of foundational groundwork. I've also been discussing ARC, which is Jordan Peterson's initiative for the Alliance for Responsible Leadership. He has something about the spirit of voluntary play, so I'm kind of weaving that into there as well. There's a book that inspired me a lot called Finite Infinite Games that I've been curating some resources about, and Wonderland, about how play made the modern world, how innovations, actually we were talking about coffee beforehand and stuff, Eric, cappuccino, but he talks about how stuff. Well, actually, that's a different book that he wrote. Stephen Johnson's a great book, but he talks about how we got to now, and he talks about how playful things have been really helpful for the world. Like the first computers were musical instruments and stuff like that. So I can get more into it. But I basically been curating articles. I also reread some articles from Dan Larimer this week. He has one about decentralizing governance with games that I've started curating, and I started curating an article about gamification and GameFi. Some of these I've been curating for a while, but I kind of put them together and put them all in one spot. Also, ideathons and agendas, even plus Fractal, different games that we play in Alien Worlds Fractal, which I've still been in the background working on as well. So curating that article, and then there's like kind of sub articles for each of these. Like for example, Finite Infinite Games, excellent book. I recommend reading it. So I just kind of curated some screenshots of the book as well as a bunch of different videos where people can learn more and some stuff that I made about it previously. So basically lots of stuff so people can learn more about these resources with some good videos where people can learn more about all these different articles and things that I'm curating about why play is helpful. So curating some stuff from Joshua, GameFi article where I wrote some articles about GameFi for the Everything Else Weekly Report last year and so forth. I know it's been 3 minutes, so I'll wrap it up in a minute or so. And then Signals. I haven't really edited this page. I think I might have said this last week, but I've been continuing to work on figuring out how to design this with the Notion API. I've been learning about the Notion API. I made some new art for Signals and planning perhaps applying for an EDNF grant funding for a new tool that can help us cooperate better by using the Notion API plus our on-chain signals. So I can get more into that later, but I won't take up too much time. I've also been doing a lot of research. Like I've been following the Green Pill and Kevin Owocki quite a lot, and he's got the Metacrisis XYZ. I actually made a grant proposal, and I've discussed this a few times, but I applied Fractal Joy there, and I raised like, I don't know, $50 or something worth of, yeah, $45 so far worth of it. So I've been getting more involved with that community. And then I've also been thinking about way more games with Fractal Joy too, which I'll share more soon. I talked with Adas and Vlad and Rosemary and a couple other people about mobile Fractal Joy games, which I think can be really big. So I'm going to share more details with that soon, as well as participating in the interview with Patrick. I also met with Guillaume as well, and we talked about games. So several other things, but that's probably been 5 minutes or more. So I'll end it there, and happy to answer any questions as always. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. And with that, I can pass on to Noam. If Noam is still there, unless Noam went deep into the universe because you disappeared,
Yeah,
Noam.
I don't know what's happening to my video when I move the camera a bit. Sometimes it blinks
Yeah,
out.
Zoom's automatic
There
background
we
thing
go.
is strange like that
I'll just keep
sometimes.
talking and let the camera do whatever it wants. I've been thinking lately about the relationship between three things. There's consensus, which is something we're doing here at Fractal, and generally in Fractally. There's some notion of what's true or what works, and there's the currency or transaction, or call it the market. So I'm thinking most somewhere about prediction markets or oracles that you when you make correct prediction or when you identify truth with a correct statement, you get rewarded. If you don't, you get slashed. And the thing I've been thinking about is that there are situations where the truth is not that easy to identify, especially if you're looking at consensus. If you asked people about consensus whether the Earth is flat, depends on when you asked about it, whether the Earth is at the center of the universe, whether Newtonian or Einsteinian or Aristotle's physics are true. We know that the scientific revolution has always been about changing what our concept of truth is. And when that change hasn't happened yet, consensus is going to give us something that everybody is going to think is correct and actually isn't. So the thing I've been wondering about, and I've been looking up different kinds of games or consensus mechanism or things like that, is trying to find out how we can check if the consensus that we're reaching is actually true, how we can protect minorities that are saying something new, to test if what they're saying is true, let them survive, not have them be voted out completely. For example, there's the classic story of two wolves and a sheep voting on what's going to be for dinner. If the person who's proposing the new theory that is closer to the truth is the sheep, we're never going to get the truth out in the consensus. And I'm trying to figure out how we can build mechanisms that would let truth percolate upward while still paying attention to what the consensus is, because when somebody is in the minority, that doesn't make them right. So the question is, how do we identify those minorities that we want to elevate or to respect or to reward through the market mechanism? And everything I've seen up until now has raised more questions than answers, so I think I'm going to leave it at that and move on.
Very
I would love
interesting.
to hear what the rest of you think about these issues, but maybe you'll have to help me find answers.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about this.
Yeah, me too.
Take
Right.
too long.
It's
Yeah,
a, it's
but
a, fact- it's a
let's
fractal
have
already.
that discussion after we take care of this week's consensus.
Yeah. I mean, if you do a doctoral degree, the heart of that is, looking at what truth means.
Mm.
So there's whole books and studies just on what is truth.
Uh-huh.
And that
All right.
subject, can be a factor, because you never find like somebody who, yeah, it's a factor. It's a factor discussion. And at some point we will find, but the way fractal is designed, we can debate anything using the process, anything. everybody has some subjective talk of what he think is it. But the community will come up with say, okay, I believe this is true, this is all, and then we economically we can reward, we can respect that. I came in to consider that after that work, I wrote a paper like to the two entrepreneurs. You have wealth, it's about picking a cause. So if your cause is finding truth, you start from there. You start with 4 people, and then the 4 people work in consensus. And then you can grow from there. So it's don't have given to the world something which is powerful in terms of governance. Very powerful. Even those that had to protect the small, those who are not the less fortunate, it's in the fractal governance to make sure that the powerful doesn't influence the small, and then the small doesn't influence the power. This book is very powerful in the world. This is history making. So I agree with you. But it's a fractal. That kind of discussion is a topic of fractalization.
Well, viewpoints, just as a quickie, is very important. So if you look up, ontology versus epistemology versus axiology, that's 3 different ways of looking at the same thing and saying what truth is. So even if we all agree, there's 3 different ways to approach. So what is your framework for how you talk about stuff?
As I said,
there's lots of things like there's guides to ontology, epistemology, and philosophical perspectives. When you're doing research, that's one of the first things you have to consider when you're trying to find out truth. So I don't know if that helps, but there's a lot of stuff on that.
Yeah, well, a fascinating discussion. Thank you very much, Noam, for inspiring that and all the great thoughts, Eric and Pascal.
Also, I'm interested in Dan and Tadas's work because the other thing that I didn't really talk about that we do was exploring the back office of nonprofits. So I actually have started talking to nonprofits about how they do things, because it turns out, they need to have a method of deciding what to do, but they can't implement it because, for example, the way they go, oh, well, we've got this spreadsheet on Dan's computer, and then there's this document on Tadas's computer, and then I think Pascal knows how to do that, and that's how a lot of these things implement their business. It's like, well, what tool are you using? Oh, he's using Google Docs over there, but they're using Microsoft Office, and this person has its own thing, and so just getting them the ability to implement these things and define workflows. And we've looked at things where how do you make a back office for a shovel-ready job? You break up this long workflow into these pieces. When you go to do it as a volunteer, oh, here's the training, here's the tools. So I'm sure you both have lots of ideas on how to implement games and methodologies within that, but that is a discussion that I've spent a lot of time over the last 2 weeks. But just put that in a bug in your ears. You're thinking about this is like, okay, but how do we implement this within an organization? Because you have to convince them to put it in as part of their tool set.
Yep, that's like music to my ears. I agree, and I've been thinking about that same thing a lot too. We should discuss this more.
Well, and we've been looking for the ideas. Do we use templates and go over something else, or do we just get like Open Office? And when you put it there, here's this templated system that then you customize, and then you put your add-ons there.
Well, that's what I'm working on with Notion and Fractal too. I'm thinking about I'm planning to make templates on Notion, which I don't know how similar that is to Open Office, but I think that Notion has the same features, but also has other features. So planning to make templates there.
We can build templates for anything, for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I actually have programmers. It's just, which way do you go? And to determine that, we need to talk to the customer. So we've actually started talking to 4 organizations about, well, how do you do business, and how do you want to do business, and what's important?
I've been Now that you've mentioned templates, that reminds me of something else I've been doing in the last few weeks, just in background, which is trying to turn Genesis 1 into a template.
Genesis 1?
Yeah.
What is Genesis 1?
The first chapter of the book of Genesis.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So template for book.
So in the
And
beginning,
this is the Bible, I guess?
blank,
Or
in the beginning, blank created the blank and the blank, and the blank was blank. And then fill out. If you look at the words in Hebrew, there are connections that you wouldn't necessarily see in English, because words come from the same root.
Mm.
So the word Genesis and the word created are the same. They're just different variations of the same root. The word,
it's like Bitcoin creation, just came.
yeah, well, the creator created. That's how you translate it. So it's the same blank that goes into the template for both in the beginning and for created. The word for the creator, for God, is the same word as is, will, was. It's just a different tense of it. So if you look at that text as a template and then try to see how many different meanings you can give to each one of the blanks in there, it's very interesting that you can describe a lot of things, including how we as creators are creating an AGI, or how DNA and RNA created life. You can put different blanks, different meanings into each one of those roots, Hebrew roots in the template, and get a different interpretation of that very powerful meme that might be useful. I keep thinking that if we want to create a new system that where we can make sure that artificial intelligence goes on with our values, we need to identify things that are part of our values. And Genesis 1 is one of the things that are common to a lot of humanity and has been for a very long time. It's not just a recent idea that somebody came up with in the last 50 years. So I'm thinking, how can we try to pass that template on to the artificial intelligence so it can go on for generations to come? Because they're going to create their own new generations. And how do we make sure they're alive?
That's a factor.
What?
A factor.
Yeah.
So the template is a fractal with 4 people. That's where we start. That's what Taras is building, Just
yeah.
start.
So I've been thinking about that a lot for the last few weeks, and then when you mentioned templates, that got me onto that. But I think we should probably start the fractalgram.
yeah, the
Yeah,
last
I'm
started
logging.
already. And thanks for the inspiring thoughts, Noam. Looking forward to discussing this more.
Yes, and that's very fascinating. Noam, I just wanted to say that I kind of was thinking in the same direction. I read some Jung and learned symbolic analysis from him, and then looked at Genesis and started applying symbolic thought, and I pretty much, like, you can see if you apply certain framework of perspective, you can see how people apply, for example, patterns of first 3 days everywhere, every day, basically. for
Mhm.
solving problems or creating new things.
Mm.
So
Okay.
it would be fascinating to discuss more with you.
Yeah, I'd love to
Well,
discuss with you offline, but right now I'm trying to figure out why I don't see the fractal yet. The fractalgram node.
Josh shared a link in the Zoom chat,
Oh, in the
and so
Zoom chat.
far,
Yes,
Yeah.
in the
Can you
Zoom
share
chat.
it on the live chat on because the Zoom, my Zoom and my Telegram are not on the same computer. That's why I'm not seeing it.
I will post it. I sent you
Okay,
a
I can
private
see it
message.
now. There we go. Thanks.
okay, and Eric's not in either yet.
yes, sorry, I didn't see the link.
No problem.
Okay, so now that I'm in, I can pay attention to what you're saying. I would love to coordinate. The I think I have an something to add because I know the original Hebrew.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and you know, when we talk about Eden, about firmament, about uh, hardware and software, about what life is, Genesis, all of the Genesis, Eden, and firmament, they're all in this something we're doing in this community, and it fits right into that template.
Yes.
So if I can help that template become clearer, I would love to work with anybody who wants to do that. And we can do it offline because I'm not sure everybody's interested in going into the details.
Yeah.
Well,
Just be
what
aware that humans presenting with the same information and the same conditions come up with different answers. And it turns out that if you change the order that information is given, you get different answers, even with the same person. So
Yeah. Well, I think that's the beauty of the template is that you can actually see all the different answers, but the template stays the same. So I think that's one of the beautiful but also confusing things about template. I think there's oh, Tadas. So we have 4 people and we're 5. So who's still?
Okay, I haven't. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm the one who didn't.
Pascal.
Yeah, I'm the
Okay.
one.
And before we get into voting too, does anybody have any questions or comments related to anybody in terms of things that would be helpful to reach consensus about what people did or anything like that?
Yeah, I just have very quick, just so Eric, just what you are doing in terms of working with the organization. Are you getting some positive feedback? Are you giving some results week by week on what you are doing with them? Just to have a
Well, right now I'm working on getting a commitment to implement it. So part of it was coming up with a plan I can present to them, and then an underlying plan I can present to the university to say, here's the specifics. So right now I'm working the organizations down from general. So, you have to, right now I'm evaluating the organizations for suitability because their leadership has to be in sync and they have to have kind of their act together enough to do it. So we're having this discussions of me interviewing them to see, not that they know it, me interviewing them to see whether they've got their act together, and them interviewing me to see whether they want to put the time and benefit. So the first question is, what's the benefit? The second question is, well, how much time is this going to take? And that's where we are right now. The benefit, they've been lighting up saying, this sounds great. So the feedback's been very positive. In terms of the time, that's the questions that we're starting to have now. Well, exactly, what would be required to get this great benefit.
Okay.
But I'm at the board level because that's where you want to start. You need the buy-in from the board of directors.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. Good to hear it. Thanks for that. Anybody else have any thoughts, questions, comments before we start going into consensus? Or shall we vote?
No, I just like what everybody's doing as usual.
Yeah.
Same
good.
here. Okay, cool. So I suppose we could start voting. And same for me too. I don't know exactly. I mean, I feel like I could ask a lot of questions to better understand how to vote, but I'm not totally sure. But I'm ready to just go and jump into it if everybody else is.
No, it's very tight. uh,
Okay, we got 3 out of 5 voting for the dust. We need one more.
Okay. I'll say that I voted for Noam, and I'm willing to switch to Das. I think that Das is doing
Oh,
awesome and providing helpful work with Firmament as always. But the reason why I voted for Noam, well, I just really appreciate what Noam's been doing for a long time since joining a few months ago, and I think that you're just consistently contributing great ideas and inspiring people. Also, our discussion last week about or I guess that was 2 weeks ago about the polls. I think that was really helpful. How you were making suggestions how we can make polls better. And then yeah, so we've been doing a lot for Eden Fractal and Alien Worlds. Oh, and also I forgot to mention too, I participated in the Sci-Base discussions. So I joined James Mart, who's hosting in office hours, and then also he hosted they're doing on Tuesdays like a side-based discussion. So I joined that, and Noam was there, and he has good questions too. And I don't know if I've seen Noam get a top level 6 rank yet. Maybe you have in other rooms, maybe I don't remember, but I think it'd be awesome for Noam to start getting like lots of 6s to show how much we appreciate Noam. But I'm also happy to go with the dots to everybody once. But I do just I wanted to say that because I really appreciate everything you do, Noam.
Norm, how was your rank last week?
I don't remember. I'm happy to get a low rank because it means that I was in a good room with people who do even more than I do, and I enjoy that much more than I enjoy getting the ranking. So,
Okay.
yeah, I voted for Tadas. So I don't even look at it. I hardly ever get the lowest rank, and I haven't gotten the top rank yet. But frankly, if I ever get the top rank, I'll be disappointed because it means that I didn't get to meet as good.
Well,
The people I met are not as good as I am, and that's scary.
I voted for Tadas because it's directly improving what we are doing here on EOS. I think having people that are putting some time in coding to make that we advance in what we want to do is important. So I wanted to show my appreciation to the work that he's doing today.
Thanks, Pascal.
I'll also say no. I don't think that's quite the right way to look at it. That you'd be disappointed. I think it's a good thing to get level 6, but I appreciate you're also very humble and kind. So thanks for that. Das or Eric, do you want to share any thoughts? I'm happy to switch to Das. I really I wouldn't want to disappoint Noam, but also if you guys want to share any thoughts, and then that would be cool.
Yeah, I actually at first I wanted to vote for Noam for what he just said, but I thought we need to reach consensus. I thought everybody's there is bigger probability that people will vote for either Eric or me. So, although yeah, so if more people vote for Noam, I would switch for Noam.
Okay, Tadas, how was your rank last week?
I don't remember. I think either either 6th or 5th.
Okay. So this week I will change my vote to no. So if that is where the consensus is going, so I would recognize Noam today for his thinking mind.
Well, now that there's 3, I'll change mine to myself.
Yeah.
Just
It's
for
right. It's right.
Ooh, well, you won't be too disappointed with us, Noam.
Okay, I
We mean well.
I don't vote against consensus, even if I don't. Okay, so
And
I
when
changed it. We have consensus now.
and when we don't see Noam again, he reached top level with it.
Yeah. Noam got what he wanted, and now he's gonna go out to the universe and fade into the orbits forever. Go
He
flying
figured
in the
out
skies.
he figured out the template.
I still enjoy everybody here, so that's not a risk. But still,
Cool. Well, thank you, Noam. And now another tough decision. What to do?
Oh, it's level 5 now.
Okay. Anyone want to share thoughts? There is currently 3 for Tadas, 2 for Eric. I and Tadas voted for Eric, and everybody else voted for Tadas.
I voted for Tadas. I'm willing to switch, but well, I guess it's if my vote is hanging, then we're really half and half.
It looks like we have Tadas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good.
I see
Um,
3 out of 5 for me.
Oh yeah, that's what I see too. I was also thinking about voting for Pascal too, 'cause I think that Pascal, I want to learn more about Eden on Bitcoin and how you can pay with EOS too. I wasn't sure how you can pay with EOS. I asked you a question about that. But yeah, I'll look into that, and I'm happy to pay, and I'm happy that you're trying out all these different initiatives. So I think that's really cool. So I didn't really know what to do, and part of my decision was just, I don't know, coming to consensus. And I know that people already voted for Eric and Dadas, but I was also thinking about voting for Pascal too. So I don't know if this is constructive to help us, but just to put it out there to add confusion perhaps, because I think that what everybody's doing, Eric, Dadas, and Pascal is all awesome. So. But I'm happy to go in anyway, I guess. I could
Okay,
switch to Das if that'd be best.
for the sake of consensus, I will switch
Okay.
Okay.
to not waste time.
We do have 15 minutes, by the way, or almost 15 minutes, like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm voting because I want to reach consensus, but I really appreciate whoever gets the lowest.
Yeah, right.
I still really appreciate what you're doing.
Me too. Me too. It's all good stuff.
Right?
I'm just glad to be in such a nice group. So
Same here.
The most important is to have fun. So
exactly.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Derek has from Pascal, Noam, Tadas. Eric voted for me, and I voted for Pascal, but I can switch to voting for Eric because I just voted for Eric previously. So, yeah, either way is good.
I think also that Eric is doing something that it's a long-term experimentation, which is good. It's difficult to see results each week, but we have to acknowledge that he's also bringing this experience into his own community, university community, which is a positive thing for us as Eden supporters. So it's a good thing for us. So it's a positive feedback that we have Eric in the experiment.
I think
Actually,
when
so
I
far
heard
we're
Eric,
working
I
with.
have to remind myself how important what he's doing is, because he's talking about the details of the surveys and the validation and things like that that don't sound so exciting. But when you think about the fact that he's actually validating something that's really happening in a community, and that
It's not that as much as how do you approach somebody and say, why should I do this? How do I know it
exactly,
works?
exactly.
So you need at least
You're
3
actually
good.
getting the things moving, and that makes it exciting, even when you're talking about the details that don't sound so exciting to people who aren't statisticians like me and Eric.
Yeah.
There's a lot more going on here. There's communities, there's moving, there's okay. We got the consensus. Well, we've got, well, that's a tough choice.
Yeah, Pascal, no, you can win for me. So I
Yeah,
switched my vote there.
I mean, Dan, you need to get 6 every once in a while too.
Well, it won't be this week.
But then Pascal, I'm actually getting something published and getting the message out. And well, if it was anyone other than Dan who's getting the message out every week, I would vote for Pascal. But considering how much Dan is doing on so many other things, and he just mentioned, well, if he mentioned that he saw me at the Base and the Alien Worlds, well, I saw him there too. He's getting the message out. He doesn't even mention it. So I'm going to vote for Dan, even though I want to vote for Pascal too.
That's a big one. But I will have, because Dan is also the one, he's keeping this ship moving. So we need, he's the one keeping the ship moving. Yes, I'm experimenting in other blockchains, but I also recognize this initiative that he's been doing. Now, Dan, you are the leader of this hidden fractal community. So I was able to go as you wanted to go. Eden was designed to make it like, if you are not there, we have to be able to run this experimentation. So after 50 weeks, let's say one week you are not there, Dan, will we be able to run this this hidden fractal? I'm not sure. So which is a single point of failure we are having here. So it's one thing that we need to, I don't know, at some point correct this kind of, but
I'm
it's
pretty
the
sure
leader.
that we would be able to run it without Dan, but it wouldn't be the same.
It will be the same, yeah. So it should not be, that should not be the
Again,
same
And I'm really glad he's here.
one of you.
Again,
So,
infrastructure, templates.
Yes, going back to templates. And I was thinking the same thing too. So thank you very much, Noam and Pascal, for the kind words and respect and appreciation. I really appreciate it all. And feel the same for you guys to really appreciate everything that you're doing so much. This whole talk and everything we've been doing for the past 50 weeks is super inspiring. And yeah, Pascal, I saw you had written a similar kind of thing that I was a leader a couple of weeks ago, and I wrote out a bunch of stuff in response, but I don't know, it was a bunch of stuff and I didn't want to overwhelm it, but I had some thoughts about that. And well, there's a quote that inspired me. I follow, I think your name Balaji Srinivasan, and he put out a tweet a while ago that's like how decentralization means an abundance of leaders. So I think we're all leaders, and I appreciate. I do certainly play a large leadership role here, hosting and moderating and doing the Zoom call, and I'm always doing my best to lead it and have something that to provide an awesome experience for everybody. And I appreciate that you appreciate that. But also, I mean, we're all leading it too. And go back to what Eric had said about templates and what you said about single point of failure. Like, I know Eric is an awesome moderator. I've been to some of the art fractals and that he's hosted, and I want to join again soon. It's been, I don't know, probably a month or two since I've been there too long. But Eric does an awesome job moderating and hosting it. Also, Dwayne has done a great job too, and several others. I've been participating in Douglas's meetings. He's hosting the Aquadac, and he's doing a great job too. So there are a bunch of leaders leading all sorts of different ways. And then with the templates, I'm working on like kind of sharing that in the same way that Eric is doing, so that we can have everybody be able to, I suppose, level up their hosting games and stuff like that, so we can help decentralize that. But anyway, I just want to add some thoughts there and to say I really appreciate all the sentiment, and I'm also working to help so we can make many we already have many amazing leaders, and we can also hone all our skills so we can all run more events and share more people to run events as well.
I've been thinking a lot about a contribution report template also. So just put that in your back of your brain somewhere.
That is a good idea. Yeah, I mentioned I mentioned Notion and the Notion templates a few times on meetings. I talked about that guy Thomas Frank, who's a popular YouTube channel. He makes Notion templates as like his main business now, and so I'm thinking like pre-built Notion templates, and you could use any software, as you said. But I think Notion provides a good tool set to at least begin with. Have that where everybody can have
We have
more
5 minutes and we
structure.
haven't even chosen a delegate yet. So
Oh, good point.
Yeah, really good.
encourage. Okay, we got consensus on
Yeah.
Dan.
Okay. And then
And
How we
on-
doing on who's a delegate?
I'm pulling it up right now.
I'm currently a delegate, have last week. Pascal has
Yeah,
2
me too.
weeks left.
Yeah.
Dan has 3 weeks left. And yeah, that's it.
so Tadas, you're running, and you have the shortest, right?
Yes, but if
And I'm out.
there are other people, if Eric or
But
you know,
I'm not running right now. Eric, are you interested?
Yep.
I will
I'm
support
Oh,
you.
you're
interested.
running. Okay, so if Eric wants to, I'll go for Eric because he doesn't have it yet.
Works for me as well.
yeah, and
Yeah.
just wanted to say it seems to me unfair to see Pascal voted sixth, voted last, considering what he is contributing. But of course, it's a tough room. But I hope next week you're compensated and get ranked high.
Yeah,
Thank you, Tadas.
I feel the same way. I mean,
No, it's okay. I by design, I
in any
always
other
say
room,
It's also kind of what Noam said, and it's timing.
it's timing.
You know, where do you do the balance right now? What needs that push between operating, between developing and building for the future? It's, you know, you have to periodically push, but it's always that battle of, well, when do you push which?
Uh-huh.
It's a tough balance.
Yeah, very tough.
Yep.
But for Dan says, I remember Dan saying that the way it's designed, fractal in the way it was in the design, it's unfair by default, which is not a bad way of seeing things, because sometimes a week you may put a lot of effort, and then you have just 3 minutes to communicate what you have done. If you're in a room where people don't have, in 3 minutes, you cannot convince them you have done a lot. So it is, you have to accept that some week you may be ranked last, not because you didn't do anything. It's just because it can be communication, it can be newbies, there are so many factors there. So but since we rotate every week, it makes the process kind of powerful, because I sitting the long way. Because in the long way, you always find a middle ground to say, okay, I find my middle spot. So far as I'm enjoying being with people that we share the same value, passion, the economics part would balance itself, in terms of, yeah.
Well, and it's not about making this perfect, it's about making it better, because what is the
Exactly.
normal state?
Exactly.
Some
Right.
director 6 levels up who doesn't know what's going on is going to make some choices without getting insight. And so, people get lost forever because there's a lot of people contributing that are always last on promotion, last on bonuses, because they don't even understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because they don't even get 3 minutes with people.
Uh-huh. Okay, thanks to Das for posting the link to.
Oh yeah, for the
Thank you.
consensus.
Okay. I always feel time pressured, so to do it before it gets before we get locked out, because if the discussion goes on, huh?
Cool. Yep. I think I'll close out
Okay.
the room now. It's been 55 minutes, or I'll at least hit the button so that breakout rooms end in a minute. And yeah, I saw you posted that, Gnome. Hopefully you're able to get it without too much issues.
What's going
I
on?
just got it. I got something on my phone recently. That's been way easier than I
Push it
previously
on
had it.
phone. Fine.
Well, yeah, it's going to end in 25 seconds, and I think we already repeated it, but it's been an amazing experience. Great room. Thrilled
Submit that
about
on my
everybody's
end.
doing. So, what's that, Pascal?
I've submitted the consensus. It's good on my end.
I'm here. Good.
Good job. Good job, guys.
Great job.
Oh,
Absolutely. Thank you.
too many attempts. Try again later.
Hello, 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 everybody. Hope you all had a great time in your breakout rooms. Our breakout room was really fun and inspiring. We can go into the topics on the agenda on consortium in the next few minutes, and I can share a screen to show that. If anybody wants to share anything about their room or anything on the top of their mind for the time being, then feel free, of course, to share it. Great to see you, Vlad. Hope you're enjoying ancient Greece. Cool.
Yeah,
Hope
we
you're doing.
in group 2 we are basically talked about like yeah what Vlad and Patrick are building, and you know EOS Dean, but it yeah, and very I mean, I saw the videos and so on, but it's very impressive. I really like it. So Patrick gave a nice speech about, not speech, he explained it very well.
Okay, super cool. Thanks for the
I want
overview.
to shout out Vlad for sure. I was supposed to be level at 6, but then the things have moved into our home. That was very interesting and not expected the result there. Yeah. So thank you, Vlad, for all, and Sebastian also. You make great contribution also, but that was a nice competition into our group today.
Definitely. Very close.
Glad to hear it. Great to hear all the co-peaters going. I hope Sebastian gets lots of respect too. And that's a kind of personal note. Maybe I don't want to influence it too much as moderator or host or anything, but I really appreciate what Sebastian's doing. So I hope us happy today. We ranked Gnome at level 6, but anyway, this getting more into personal stuff. But I love to see people getting lots of respect. Suppose I can go into the presentation if anybody doesn't have any thoughts you want to share, or of course feel free if anybody does have any thoughts you want to share first. Okie dokie. I will
I
go
just
into
think we should recommend that Lenny not schedule Eden on EOS meetings at the same time as Eden Fractal meetings.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. I joined Lenny and Mo have been hosting the working group for the media and communications working group at 15 UTC. So I joined for like 15 minutes before we just joined, but I think it'd be great if they schedule that at a different time. It was also different for you to make yesterday because they had Aqua Deck at the same time. So I see Marco has your hands up. Is something you want to share, Marco? Welcome back, by the way, and welcome back, Lisa.
Thanks. Sorry I missed it. I was at the 5-0s with Eric. Yeah, I got a real issue with Genesis, Eden Fractal, EWS. They have no airplane icon. It's very disturbing.
What did you say? They have no airplane?
They have no airplane icon. They removed it.
I'm not sure if I'm totally hearing you. But
No, you
did you
hear me
see
right.
that?
They have no airplane icon. See my airplane up there?
Oh yeah, I see it. They don't have an airplane icon in
Yeah, they don't
Eden
have
on youth group. Ah, they're missing out.
Yeah.
I hear spaceships are the latest thing.
How could they? What was that, Lisa?
I hear spaceships are the latest thing.
Oh, spaceships. Yes, I hear they're flying around alien worlds these days, going around on Nike. Good to have both of them. Seeing Patrick put up the aliens. Well, okay, cool. Well, yeah, spaceships, aliens, and airplanes. Maybe name of a good movie or something to build on. Anyway, I'll get into sharing a presentation here and we can talk more about all that stuff. So we're going to go into agendas. Hope everybody had a great time there. As always, everybody can propose topics each week on Consortium, and you can learn how it works at eden.com/fractal or /welcome rather. I put up the 2 topics that I shared before, and I saw somebody voted on before, but I don't know, now it says nobody voted on it. So I guess we could just pick either one, and being that I was the topic creator. What's up,
Dan?
Yeah.
I saw 2 same polls for
Ooh.
so I think on one you have 1 vote on one.
Yes, you're right. Yep.
Yeah, so 2
Thank you.
TP50.
Yep, thank you to Das. I guess I accidentally made a duplicate poll there, so my apologies for that. I didn't realize as I did that. I had an issue I thought I didn't go through. So yeah, first we'll discuss this. I made a proposal. Should we use Telegram polls more often during meetings? And I wrote how I think we can cooperate better by asking questions and signaling opinions with Telegram polls during meetings. What do you think? I see Marco giving a thumbs up. And we have one person who voted yes for that. And then the other topic on the agenda today is I also made a topic about signals, games, and Notion. Signals with a C, and I wrote that I can share a philosophy of games and a plan to create new condensed games that help communities cooperate better. These games can help us send signals more efficiently with tools like Consortium and the Notion API. I just put this up a couple hours ago. So I know not many people had a chance to get on there, but that's cool. We can discuss those, and people can always vote in the future and make polls. And I think this topic could help with something about making polls earlier in the week and stuff like that as well, so people can have more time. We can get better at it. But anyway, yeah, we'll discuss this one about Telegram polls more often during meetings first, and then we can get into the other one if you have more time. I just figured I'd put out a question here, so I figure I can just jump into my little presentation here, and then if anyone wants to share any thoughts, it's pretty casual. We have a pretty small group, so if anyone wants to jump in, then I suppose feel free, or if you want to raise your hand, I'll call on you afterwards. But basically, just a high-level overview. I think this is a good idea to use Telegram polls more often during meetings. This was inspired. I had a conversation with Noam and Patrick a couple weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago during the 48th meeting. I'm not sure. We talked for like an hour after the meeting. But one of the things that Noam was suggesting, I think, is a really good idea. And Noam had made a poll during that day. But I think we could use polls more efficiently during meetings. So, and I was also thinking about this previously too. So like a couple quick examples I just put together really quick. Like, should we move on to the next topic? And do you agree with blank, like John or Jane or whoever? Could also add more examples. I think we can use it for all kind of things, but those are 2 obvious examples I think could be like helpful to like kind of signal each other's opinions and ask each other things. I think this whole idea of signals, like we did it last week with or 2 weeks ago with signaling alien worlds, and we also talked about maybe providing signals to the ENF or the EOS EVM. I think we have an opportunity to get really a lot better at signals. So we can do like these internal signals as well as external signals. Signals to the outside world about things that we think people should do, and then signals to internally, so that during meetings we can cooperate better, basically understand each other better. So, you know, in some examples, rather than having to hear, like spend 20 minutes where people are voicing their opinions about things, with longer speeches, you know, sometimes that's great and very helpful, but sometimes we can also just put out a poll in Telegram. We have the Telegram tool ready to go. So we can put out polls pretty easily to just get quick ideas about whether we should move on to different topics or things like that, so we can better understand what other people in the group are thinking at the moment and use that to cooperate as effectively as possible. I have a couple more slides about this and examples, but I see Marco, you have your hands up, so if you want to share or add or ask something here, then feel free, or I can keep going.
Yeah, no, this is nice, and I like the idea of taking these meetings and extending them. Maybe just a procedure or whatever. If you have a proposal or a poll or whatever, first provide the link in this chat, and then be ready to move it over. How we align that, I'm not sure. Automating it, I'm not sure. But if we do make it this customary thing, where people don't have to say, "Oh, where's the link?" Or people expect the link first, and someone's going to have their hand up. Maybe do an icon, special uh, uh, icon that signals that someone has a proposal and trying to do it. Whatever it is, just to make it that we're accustomed to it. However, it's done. Go really well, and I think that's part of what we need. Help in a lot of aspects. So, love the idea.
Cool. Well, yeah, thanks for the feedback and the suggestions, Marco. And I agree. I agree with everything you said there. I think it's great points, and it also provides a segue for things I'm adding. I see you added the emoji for writing notes as well too there. So yeah, and I've also been thinking of this for a while. So for example, in Eden Fractal Week 36, Vilas shared Fractalgram when it first came out, and I called something Kagendagram, basically, which is just kind of a play on words about how we can use Kagendas, but be making polls as we go. But basically, the idea is there's also a little story I wrote about it here about using Telegram more effectively with Kagendas. Like once Dadas came out with Fractogram, it inspired me to think, how can we use Telegram more effectively, not just in the breakout rooms, but also in the community rooms as well. And so I've thought about a lot. And then during that week, I made this article. It's at edencreators.com/chat, where I put together a plan and started encouraging people to use the Telegram live chat, and that was when I created the Telegram live chat topic and enabled the topics feature. And so I wrote about it here and presented during that week. If everybody remembers, there was some benefits. I wrote about how Telegram calls can help facilitate agendas, and then also wrote other benefits, comparing it to the Zoom chat mostly. And it's partially my fault and apology because I'm still working on getting templates together. That's something that Eric and I and our group discuss a lot, but having templates to remember stuff. But sometimes I forgot to remind people to use the Telegram chat. And it's kind of like, it's a new habit. And I think having it more, to what Marco was speaking, like you have to have the habit and have to remember it. If people have their Zoom chat open and people start typing there, then people use Telegram less. So I think there's a lot of benefits to using Telegram, like the persistence of it, so people can read it afterwards, even if they're not there, and having it more composable and linkable, so you can easily send links to messages or put them on websites or whatever. And then there's also like multimedia chat features, and you can share the live chat screen, or I could do that. And there's also more opportunities for like social media and growth. And so I'd written about each one of these as well as like a plan. And the plan that I'd written was like, and when we play agendas, I'll ask the delegates to give the topic a zing when they're ready to move on to the next topic. Because I was thinking there's sometimes that we go on for one topic and it's like it'd be helpful for both me as a moderator or whoever's a moderator and the whole community as a whole to know when people want to move on without people having to, get impatient or something like that. And having an organized way to do this, I think, is a helpful way to talk about the topics that are most helpful and be able to get to everything that people want to discuss. So this, I think, is kind of confusing about the zing. Is something speaking? Is that no?
I just wanted to stress two things that you've been saying. One of them is that having the Telegram live chat in the background lets people who are quieter at least put in something, because I often feel like me and a few other people who are more vocal are monopolizing the conversation, and we don't always get feedback. And I want to get that feedback. I want other people who are usually quiet to have a chance to say, well, yeah, we do want to move on. And it's very important for me because I know that a lot of you appreciate some of the things that I say, but sometimes I say things that aren't that important. And I can't always tell the difference. So it really helps me to get zings. If somebody says, let's move on, I have my own, I have three other ideas. Maybe I should move on to one of the other ones because that's what's interesting to you. And I don't know unless I get the feedback from the quieter people who somehow let us know what they want to know. And I wanted to stress that and then go back to what Dan was saying. So I'm done.
Thank you, Noam. Yeah, I appreciate that, and I think that's an excellent point. When you're speaking in here, only one person can speak at a time, and it takes longer sometimes to share thoughts and hear it. But when we share it in the chat, then, I mean, you're sharing it audibly is great too in many ways. And Lisa said, I've never heard Noam say anything that's not important. So that is true. Noam does have lots and lots of wisdom for us. Although I could maybe think of one time when Noam was joking around and sharing some silliness as well. But who knows? Um, but yeah, thank you. This is certainly a time when I think Noam's sharing excellent ideas as always or as usual. And Yeah, it kind of allows us to be like more multi-threaded, like as opposed to just one conversation going on. Many people can speak. And it's also more scalable in ways too. Like right now we have 12 people here or so, so we're able to accomplish more, talking as compared to if we have 50 people, then it becomes a lot more difficult for everybody to be heard. But people can still be heard by putting out messages and polls are a great way with Telegram too. So people can put up polls and then people can just simply answer yes or no or whatever they think there. So I suppose I'll get back into this presentation here, but thanks for jumping in and sharing the ideas and making the more interactive presentation, Marco and Noam. Yeah, so I had those ideas, and the original idea was like a zing, and I like the idea what Marco shared, but one downside of the Zoom emojis is they only show up for like 10 seconds, except for like the hand raise, that one stays up, but all the other ones go down. So I think that we certainly can use the Zoom emojis more. And I like Marco's idea about signaling so that we like call attention to the Telegram. But I think the Telegram polls are one, you can be more descriptive than a zing. So like a zing, first you have to remember that's kind of like learning a new language. So that can work. But we can just write things like, for example, how I wrote here, like, should we move on to the next topic, or do you agree with that blank? And then people don't have to memorize like what is a zing or anything like that. So I think in some ways that's more efficient. And then also it's just easy to remember. And Telegram has a very flexible poll feature too. I pulled up some links here when they first released these, and I suppose I can share if anyone wants to dive in deeper, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. People understand how that works, but there are quite a few features. I also talked about this a bit with like Vlad and Das about perhaps like linking this to the blockchain and consortium. So I think that's an opportunity for the long term, but even for now, just putting up the polls and seeing them in the group, especially because we have a pretty small group of people who we know. So it's not like we're going to really have much to worry about like a bunch of bots coming for the time being and messing up the Telegram polls. So we can do a good job of seeing that. So yeah, basically, I'll show the link to it. Encourage people to review it if you're interested, or I'm just curious to hear what people think. If we just think it's a good idea, then we don't have to review it at all. But there's also other benefits of having of using Telegram, about how it like stays and how I mentioned that, and I've written about all these different benefits that I shared previously, so I won't go over it again, but just to re-emphasize those benefits using Telegram. And then with Telegram live chat, we have the poll functionality as well. So combining those, I think, can make us more efficient. I was also looking into this tool called Slido too, which maybe can be helpful for Agenda. It's like really popular by a bunch of companies. So I'm going to look more into that. So perhaps we can use different tools as well. But just the Telegram polls, I think, like Noam was saying, and like I shared, provides a lot of benefits that we have right here. And then we can just operate more efficiently during the meetings and better understand what we want, and can help us be more engaging and be more cooperating better and stuff. I saw a message from Pascal about don't understand why you're not posting your content on chain, move to Web3 bro, smiley face. So yeah, thanks Pascal. And I'm planning to post it a lot there. I've been planning to post on Thiago for a while now, and I'm really excited about everything you're doing with all the different social networks. You mentioned Quill and stuff, so I'm certainly planning to. And I also have the Eden Talk thing on BBS and following BBS, so planning to. Thanks for the suggestion, Pascal, and I will. Looking forward to collaborating there. But anyway, that's been a fairly long and detailed presentation for a pretty simple thing about making polls, but I wanted to emphasize it because I think that can be really helpful and a reminder of, I think, how it can be helpful, and then also some thoughts to help us internalize and like habituate this if everybody thinks it's a good idea to use it. But I'd be curious to hear everybody's thoughts. So but we heard a bit from Noam and Marco who agree with that. I think I see Sebastian's unmuted. So Sebastian, if you want to share any thoughts, if anybody else wants to share thoughts, it'd be cool to hear.
I agree as well. To Noam's part, came something to mind. Because I read on Telegram, someone was asking, is Eden Fractal still a thing? And to me comes like this idea of like people who are introverted or people who are shy might feel like we all already know each other for a year or more, you know, and to join into a new group that already is that, I don't know, maybe we exclude a lot of people by not having something in place that makes it easier, like, or takes away this feeling of, yeah, I'm joining this group of people that, you know, it's like, you know, you don't want to sit on a poker table with people who might all know each other, basically. Just psychologically speaking, I totally agree with your presentation and so on. Just came to mind because Noam said it.
I'm not totally sure you mean, Sebastian. Could you like summarize what your recommendation would be or action step in there?
Like marketing wise, I agree that we are already like big enough and we already know each other and so on. But if you like post it on EOS project Telegram, right? You know, like what's the incentive for a new person to join? If the person is an introvert or shy, because it's not like the group is just forming, like when Dan wrote the book and so on, like there was a common cause and so on. So I don't know if what I kind of see is like that we will stay in our, I wouldn't call it echo chamber because that's kind of stupid because we all come from different angles of yours. But yeah, I think we will probably don't see much growth until we have like this kind of rebranding of the Eden fractal, or the merging of the Eden fractal with something different. Does that make sense to you? I mean, maybe.
I think I understand, and I think, well, for one thing, I think there might be two different topics. So
Yeah,
I encourage people to promote. I'm not sure if Eden Fractal would need a rebrand. It seems like a kind of a different.
No, it's just my assessment that we probably won't see much more people joining in the way we are putting ourselves out there right now. Just my assessment. It's because like when I look at the project like that Patrick funded and so on, like those are steps in the direction that I see play out very well, because people have like a place to go, and you don't have to learn much. You don't have not that much. You don't have to learn like, yeah, there's like then this Telegram thing, and then we are voting on this platform, and you have to have an EOS account and understand what the MSIG is and so on. Like the barrier to entry is like still extremely high in my opinion. It's like psychological speaking. And a project like this EOSDE.net is like the way to go in my opinion. So just to give like a background why I said what I said, you know.
Yes, cool.
I don't want to like block the conversation from going on. Like I did want to interrupt. I just thought Gnome's thoughts were very interesting in that like aspect of things.
Yes, thank you for sharing. That is interesting. And I know Lisa and Patrick have their hands up, so maybe you inspired them, and I'll pass it on to them in a moment, but I'll just also briefly respond. So yeah, thanks for sharing the feedback. I appreciate it. And that's also something that I agree, the barrier to entry is too high right now, and that's something I was big in our discussion room. I'll publish a video of it this week if people want to see, but Eric shared some ideas, and we're talking about how to make it simpler, and we have all these different apps. We want to be able to consolidate in one app, and also I know Vlad has for a while been working on making a more consolidated app with WebRTC. So I talked about it with Guillaume this week actually as well, basically making it much simpler and all in one spot. And so I don't think using Telegram polls is like a long-term best solution, but for now it's a tool that we have. Eventually it'd be great to have that on-chain, but it's a little bit easier than using Consortium, although we can use Consortium more too. And I definitely encourage people to. We have, Vlad created Consortium. It's an amazing tool. And right now we're only using it once, twice a week. So we can, but certainly having it all in one comprehensive interface would be better. And then I think once we do that, we haven't really been marketing it or spreading word much. I encourage everybody, if you want more people to join, I'm happy with having this group of amazing people, and it's relatively small now, but we're building and we're like kind of working on our processes. But I also encourage, I'm sharing the videos and inviting people. So if you want to invite more people, then feel free, and that would be much appreciated too. But yeah, I think that it's also helpful to build these so we can cooperate more efficiently. So when people join, they are more likely to have an amazing experience too. So that's one of the things I'm focusing on right now. Cool. Thanks, Sebastian. And with that, I pass it on to Lisa. Also, yeah, just Lisa, actually. Would you like to share?
Yes. So new player play paths are one of my favorite topics, as is growth. And I'm pretty sure we can get new people if and where we want them. We've demonstrated that. And I propose for future topics of discussion at the appropriate time. Number one, new fractals. Because, for example, with EOS, it made sense to bring people together for a purpose and use the fractal process in that community. Now, it just so happens we're fortunate to have the community manager of this fractal and that fractal. But I've encouraged Dan to topic number two, look at certification for fractal, and that could be a way to generate resources for this fractal and Dan or whoever's doing it, and or I should say, because let's say we have a community or an event, like for example, we have the Interplanetary Unconference coming up. Go to interplanetary.unconference.com to register. But that would be a case where we could use a certified fractal community manager to basically facilitate certain discussions in that process. So I think we can see growth by certifying community managers and including that as an option, based essentially a product service offering to communities. And I think that we'll see more growth that way and more fractals that come around than if we just try to add people to this group all the time. That being said, we could, and then that's topic number three for future discussion, which would be, can we have some councils or committees, or I don't know that if that's even the right word, but some groups that meet separately and report back when there's something of use to discuss. Like that was super interesting in our first session this morning, in the few minutes I was there, to get your perspective, Sebastian, on Hyperledger, and I just arranged for another meeting next week so we can follow up on that. but like there's certain things we could tackle and just be like, okay, ad hoc group on this, who wants to join, we'll report back. And then if we want to continue for a period of time or ongoing, we could, and that might be a way to include experts in the topic of interest to us. Like if it's IBC, we could invite GNOME to come to that, for example, to talk about it. If it's Hyperledger, there's some game people who want to do some stuff, and we could connect with them or whatever. So maybe we can think about those groups, ad hoc groups for topics that require longer discussion. And then the last thing I want to say is, Dan, you are by far the best community manager I've ever seen, and I know dozens and dozens and dozens of them, and I don't remember to thank you enough, but I believe what we're doing is incredibly historic, but part of history is having it documented. Otherwise, no one's going to know in the future, except those of us who remember and tell the story. So telling the story live, I think, is so important and not appreciated enough. I hope we'll find many ways to reward you for those efforts on behalf of all of us. And I just want to say thank you at this moment, and remember to do that often, and encourage more of that. And I do agree, you can pop that on Pinata, and every time you do anything, you can go put the stuff back there and put the link, and it's on chain for as long as it's there anyway. So great idea. But thank you, Dan. Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa. That's super kind of you, and also very insightful. So thank you. I really appreciate the kind words. I do my best, and I'm very glad that it's so much appreciated. And you're also an amazing community manager too. So thank you a million times too. I really appreciate everything you do, and it's been such a pleasure working with you and everything you do. So I'm really stoked about everything we'll do, as well as I could say something about Eric and many other people who are helping to foster communities. But thank you. I really appreciate that. And I agree. I'll pass on to Patrick and Eric in just a moment. I don't want to speak too much, but I just want to just briefly, it was too trick to get a compliment for yourself. There you go, Lisa. Mission achieved. So you got it. Well played. And I was just, that's something that Lisa wrote in the chat, by the way, if that wasn't clear to anybody who's watching. Dan GPT, and well done, Lisa, from Patrick. Dan GPT, Perry, I don't have a not a bot hat like Perry, so I think Perry thinks I could be a robot still, but maybe I'll get a not a bot hat so that it'll be more clear. But anyway, having fun with it. So I'll just briefly, before I pass on to Patrick and Eric, just to respond to a couple of different things that Lisa said. One, I agree, more fractal sessions and certifications. I really appreciate you sharing those ideas, Lisa. I think they're awesome and really exciting. And yeah, I've been mentioning Notion and also about Fractal Joy, which is the new brand I'm launching to help promote these. So I'm planning to make like Notion templates and Fractal Joy like tutorials and stuff like that, so I can help share the skills that I've learned, and so other people can help collaborate, and so we can be able to scale these tools up or like make really helpful tools so everybody else can use them. So I agree with that, and I also agree with what you said about it being historic and the gravity of what we're doing. I think it's really profoundly helpful. So I'll keep it short, but thank you so much, Lisa. Really appreciate everything you're doing. And with that, I'll pass it on to Pat Nova Bat Joy. Pat Nova Bat Joy.
Yeah, Pat Novabat Joy is here and he's very happy. Thank you. No, I just want to say a bunch of talk here to answer a little bit in part to Sebastian and what I heard from Lisa also about the engagement, how to have more people joining this hidden fractal, because yeah, it's clear we are between us. We know each of us here. We are week after week, always the same people seems to be, and we want to have to attract newcomers. And how to do that? That's that there is not just one answer or one way to do. That's parallel way. And I was this week in a hidden fractal update number 6 with Tadas and with Dan and with a surprise that you will discover into the video when that will be published on May 23rd. So that's the hidden fractal update number 6, to celebrate at the same time a little bit the first anniversary of this hidden fractal, because a couple of days after May 23rd, that will be 1 year of hidden fractal here. And what a path, what a road. And I want to say, sometimes I was down, sometimes I was up, down, because sometimes not agreeing with things going on here, and I was loud and clear, sometimes very happy. So that's like a ping pong. So what I see now really, first on the technological level, here, we have some improvement to still do. Nothing is perfect. We know that. Otherwise, we lie if we say that all is perfect. But the point is not to be perfect. The point is to make the things adequately. You know, Tadas. So about the MSIG, about the how to reach consensus on chain. You are developing Firmament, by the way. So a DAO directory for this hidden fractal, and I love it, the concept. We addressed that into the hidden fractal update 6. We spoke about it, about Firmament, a Firmament update, very digestible in order that everyone watching the video will understand what we are doing here. So that's the technological level. Then you have the economical layer. If technological layer is great, economical layer will be also great. And then you have the societal layer. That's where you want to promote this hidden fractal the best that we can. And how we can do this? By doing video educational, by tweeting only what we know. What we don't know, never tweet what we don't know. So the only thing that I know, we are doing great job. That's why I continue to join. And also I have fun. That's why I continue to join. And also because I respect Dancing Joy, because he is at the base layer of that. And I want that he succeed. And to succeed, he need people that say the truth. Also, if it is not good to hear, I will continue to say. Otherwise, we are hypocrite. Otherwise, we are all stating that all is going fine. That's Disneyland here. And sometimes it's Disneyland, but sometimes it's Pat Novabat land. So we have to say the things. Now, to answer to Sebastian, yeah, you were into my breakout room and I was announcing my fucking great contribution, and I was level at 6 this time, because I was coming to say what I am really doing and I was not stating, hey, I have give. Sometimes I say, yeah, that I give something to this hidden fractal, but I am not to be labeled more because I am to labeled 2 or 3. But this time, I was doing my contribution about what I am working, collaborating with Vlad, with Leonard, with CIC. CIC that is not joining the meeting, but that is approving the MSIG. That's the paradox. That's beautiful, by the way. So I am collaborating with people, and you see EOSDIN as maybe a better entry point. I want to answer to you, Sebastian. EOSDIN is not to be hidden fractal. It's not to be a fractal. EOSDIN is just an aggregator of Web3 solution built on EOS. That's all. Everyone can have his solution added on EOSDIN, and then you have users giving reviews and rating for the solution on this platform. That's all. That's all. That's all. That's all.
I know. But on
I
this
know.
page, people can still, like, if they find your page exciting, they can still like learn about hidden fractal there and so on. And
I understand. I understand very well what you stated. I want just to be clear, really, because that could be perceived into the wrong way.
Right.
EOSDIN is just a solution built on EOS. And what I want to do, indeed, is to make collaborative circles, collaborative network. And hidden fractal is a circle. It's for me a network. Pomelo is a network. Alien World is a network. And we have to let's connect those networks together, not mesh. Otherwise, it's the end of all. Hidden fractal has to continue to be hidden fractal. The name, you can name this group Toto, Titi, Vovo, Vuvu. That doesn't matter. What is important, it's what is behind the word. By the way, my grandmother was named Gertrude. Maybe we can create this group and rebrand Gertrude, but we have to know what it is behind. So we have great values here, and that's up to everyone, not just Dance Enjoy. That's not just Dance Enjoy. That's every of us, everyone here with his skills, and we are a group. Forget about the name fractal. Forget about the name DAOs and all those things, because sometimes we want to put names on the thing, but we don't know even what we are doing. So now I see really what we are doing here. For me, more and more, we are a group of people, knowledgeable people. We are fun. Yeah, I have fun. The last one was great. The last 2 weeks was just for me the best hidden fractal that I have had. And I want to continue to join here. And I want to have great connection with other groups like Alien World, GNOME, and Vlad and Leonard and everyone here. So, and if we can market this on Twitter better and better, on the platforms better and better, we will have more better social sentiment, because Hidden Fractal is like a brand, and Fractal Joy, the new website, fractaljoy.io, inspired by all the joy that we have here. That's a brand, fractaljoy.io. Go on fractaljoy.io, enter in fractaljoy.io, then you can go to hiddenfractal.com, to hiddencreator.com, to DNews, to Nova Crypto, to every channel. So we are doing connections. And you see my sky, and you see the Tada sky. That's the firma. By the way, that's the firmament. That's the powder of God. That's very important. We have to do a fractal impact here. And by the way, if you will watch the Hidden Fractal update number 6, we have made a fractal impact into this video, and this video will be shared widely and wisely also, because we want to promote the better. So be happy, better, Sebastian. I see you a little bit body language, like waiting something. Don't wait anything. Just be happy. No speculation, no expectation. Also, we are just doing day after day what we have to do, because this world is just fucked sometimes. And here we want to have the best firmament. Firmament? Yeah, and shout out to Tadas, by the way. Shout out to everyone. So Sebastian, you're happy now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye. See you.
Bye.
Cool. Well, thank you,
Okay.
Pat Nova, Pat Joy, for the great, inspiring talk and recommendations and stuff. Would be happy all that as you're gesturing in a strange way. I know Eric's been very patient with his hand up, so I'll pass it on to Eric, and also Lisa mentioned comments, but I'll come back to it. Also, that suggestion about Geertrude or Totova, that made me laugh. But anyway, yeah, I'll pass it on to Eric, and thanks, Patrick. Also looking forward to the Antelope workshop and Eden Fractal and stuff and all that. But yeah, anyway, I'll pass on to Eric now. Thank you.
So Lisa has made in the past some very salient points about the importance and power of a community designer, which is attracting people, removing friction, sharing experiences and knowledge. So some community development is done just by chance, what happens, and other is by design. One tool that we used in marketing was something called a customer journey map. And that's where you pretend you don't know anything about you. You go right from the customer's perspective. If you type in customer journey map, by the way, and look at images on any search engine, you'll see a ton of them. And it just says, what path does a person go to get where they need to go? And it comes from everything of how do they find out about it? Because people go from unaware to aware, to interested, to committed, to trusting, to hopeful, that whole thing there. But that might not be a bad exercise to go to if you want to track people, is to say from their point of view, what tracks their attention, why should they come, what do they get out of it, what happens. But that's just a tool that we use very effectively. And when you look, the nice thing about it is when you look at each phase, you can rank how you're doing. So you can look at a glance and see where you might want to improve, what your biggest, because it's not one thing, it's a whole series. So, where do you want to improve and what can you do to prove it? Anyway, just an idea.
Great points. Thank you, Eric. Really appreciate it. I'd be curious if anybody has any thoughts about that. I'm also going to look forward to listening to about this again as well. Oh,
I can say
what's that,
some
Sebastian?
short thing about it. I think maybe I see this correlation between AI and crypto, and maybe we can attract some people from the AI space, but that's just a comment on what was said. I don't want to take up the whole conversation time.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Sebastian. Thank you for also being respectful of his time. But if there's anything else you want to add on there, then feel free. Or else also there's some comments in the chat that I could read from Lisa and Pascal. And there's also another topic on the agenda too that we could get to about the signals, games, and Notion that I could share. But I can also save that for next week if we'd like to continue this discussion, have more open discussion about anything else. Was there anything else you wanted to add on there, Sebastian, with your ideas about AI and Web3 or anything else?
Nothing concrete that just came to mind because I was just spreading the news is one thing and spreading them wisely is another thing. So that's just what I thought maybe would be a nice base to collaborate with, the AI part of it, because I think that Elon Musk showed it. Just to say one last sentence. Elon Musk funded ChatGPT back then, with 50,000, if I remember the interview correctly, 50 million, I think. And that's incredibly low. If you played around with the Google AI, it's much worse than ChatGPT and much older, or there has been much more invested into it. So I think that just shows that open markets are more competitive, and that also brings this Web3 space into EOS or into crypto in general. So that's maybe a nice not customer base, but base to collaborate with. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Sebastian. Very interesting, inspiring ideas. I think probably everybody's following developments in AI, at least to some extent, and you could be following it constantly, and there's so much going on that's really exciting. It also reminds me too of something that I spoke with Eric and several other people. Like, I think there's a lot of analogies or comparisons to what we're doing in terms of like building a kind of augmented intelligence or collective community intelligence, like kind of building like a decentralized brain in some sense. We're all like the people speaking and delegate, the people sending signals. We're all like working together to build kind of a form of AI, I suppose, with our
Yeah,
consensus processes and stuff.
yeah, like neural net,
Hmm.
you know.
But like people net though.
Exactly, right. The real one. Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, very cool. I'll also read out some comments. Pascal said he had to go. Enjoy your day. Thanks, Pascal. I think Pascal just left already, actually. But Pascal also had shared a message saying that he's looking for fractal governance lovers to help kickstart an Eden on Bitcoin community. He wrote that in the Telegram chat, so I encourage everybody to check that out. He's been posting on new social media platforms as well, doing a lot of cool experimentation. And Lisa had written a little while ago, said, let's vote to add a proposal to EO Shipped for a certification program that can help sustain Fractal. Can we vote on that this week? Exclamation point. And she said, let's do a vote as to how much growth we want in core fractal versus new fractals. For one thing, I'll just remind people we have the EO Ship meeting that I've been, I suppose, co-hosting with Lisa, and the Alien Worlds Fractal meeting that we're going to be starting soon. The EO Ship meeting 15 UTC on Thursdays, and then Dwayne hosts a Crown call. So that's an exciting opportunity that we're sharing these consent schemes and processes there. So I encourage everybody to check it out. And then I responded to Lisa that she could make a poll in the Telegram live chat. So being that was a topic, I suggest as far as a vote to how much growth we want in core fractals versus new fractals. I think that that's one of the benefits of Telegram. That, as far as I understand, Zoom doesn't have that feature, so people could easily vote yes or no in Telegram, but not Zoom. But I think that's a good thing to discuss how much we want to prioritize, how much to focus on, say, Eden fractal or growing other fractals and stuff like that. So thank you for the suggestion, and perhaps I can make a poll. But if you want to make that, Lisa, or anybody else, I encourage everybody to make more polls. That's kind of one of the ideas of my topic proposals here. It also is a proposal too, so if the delegates want to vote on it and we have like a formal vote, I don't even know if all the delegates are here. We don't have to, obviously, but I just figured since it was a question that delegates could vote on, if anybody wanted to formally or more formally voice their opinion on yes or no. There's also some funny jokes. Patrick saying he's going to invite his wife because he's thinking she's a bot, and Vlad referencing Ex Machina, and also it's a good conversation here. That's fun. Vlad said, see you, gentlemen. Lisa, too. See you. Thanks, Vlad. And yeah, Pat also mentioned need more fractalian women. So that'd be great to also invite more women, more everybody to these consensus games. Anyway, it's been a lot there. Do we have any thoughts about anything I shared or anything that Sebastian was sharing about AI or that Eric or Niels was sharing? And as far as this topic proposal, if anyone wants to, I don't know, voice if we should or shouldn't, we haven't heard much from Das or Perry or Noam, I think. So if anyone else wants to share their thoughts about this, or if you'd like, I can go into the other presentation about the topic and share more ideas, but I can also save that for the future. Or if anybody wants to have anything else on your mind, we're almost 12 minutes top the hour, so we can discuss basically whatever. Anybody want to share some thoughts? There we go, Patrick. looking good, being a fractalian with flowers in your hair.
I am a fractalian woman. Hello.
Hello, Pat Nova Bad Joy lady.
Right.
Dan, I think
Okay.
I heard your intention that anybody could start a poll. It wouldn't be limited to the host. It would be anybody in the group could fire off a poll. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Interesting.
Yep, and that's how it's always been, of course, too. I mean, anybody can do it. Telegram lets anybody in the group make a poll. Yeah, Telegram lets anybody do it. Anybody can make a poll on consortium too. I'm just encouraging people to do it more often. I'm also planning to do it more myself too, but I encourage you and everybody else to make more polls when you want to
How about
share something like that.
how about a collective volume control? So if there's 12 people in the room, everybody has 1/12 control of the volume at any one time. So we could an aggregate, we can all shut somebody down. Like you guys can basically stop me from being heard by collectively moving down your volume controls, and then they add up to 0 volume for my voice. How about that? I like it. I'm gonna program. Yes, Patrick and I.
I hadn't thought about the volume control, but that's interesting. At first, I didn't know what you meant by volume, but like volume, like lowering the sound volume, basically. That's
Yeah.
I was speaking with Guillaume this week about like he wants to like more so codify all different things. Like for example, he mentioned how I think it'd be cool to like have it where if somebody has 5 minutes to speak, there's a timer that's on connected to the blockchain, and that timer stops after 5 minutes, so they can't talk anymore. And like codifying it like that, and also gamifying it too. So that could be kind of fun if people have to lower their volumes, perhaps. Um, and polls could do that. So I don't know, interesting idea, Perry. Thanks for sharing. Pretty interested if anyone has any thoughts.
For many years, I fantasized while watching watching C-SPAN. I fantasized of a citizenry that was armed with a button that could send an electrical impulse to the speaker while he's on the floor. And they can receive feedback from the American people via basically a shot collar. Yeah. So yeah, that's the next level.
Okay, well, also interesting idea. I think it's probably not best for us to hook up shock machines to us so we can shock each other, but the volume is maybe easier to do, and I like the idea of games.
Oh my God. I'm really singing to Dr. Evil. I'm singing his song here.
It reminded me, by the way, I used to watch like Nickelodeon, where like people played quiz show games or anything, and then like they dump like the big green goo on there if they got something wrong. So perhaps we can set up something like that too, if anybody knows that reference. But
where do I find the M6? Like where are they posted exactly?
the M6 for the Eden Fractal community, you mean?
Yeah.
They're posted in the Telegram chat, t.me/Eden Fractal, and then there's a group for consensus results in the topics. It says consensus results, and I post those every weekend, basically, so you can see them there. And I'm pretty sure you've been there. I'm pretty sure I saw you liking some of the posts there, so you've been there.
Yeah, I have it now. It was on Discord, that's why.
Okay,
great.
Cool. Yeah, Discord, we haven't really used it. We've just been using Telegram. There's a lot of older stuff on Discord, but Telegram's what we've been using for basically everything lately. I see Fractal Dog has their hand up, and I don't see... Oh, there he is, Pat Noverbat turned into Fractal Dog. There we go. And he looks like a bit like a dog in terms of his gestures, too. What's up, Fractal Dog?
Woof, woof, woof. I have something to say.
Oh, yeah.
To Dogman, to Dance Enjoy, the best dog in the galaxy, by Fractal Dog, to Dogman. Into our breakout room, should be possible to have displayed the room number and also a timer. That will be fantastic and very easy things to do. I don't know if we have to do even a proposal for that, because where you are into a breakout room, a little timer and the room number. I think that's something we can improve soon. And when I say soon, rapidly, I think that was one time I was seeing a timer into our breakout room, and this week, for example, there was not. And also, like I say, the room number. Voilà. That's all.
Do you mean, okay, thanks for the suggestion, Patrick. Do you mean like a timer that's up persistently throughout the breakout room? So it starts out, it says 55 minutes, 0 seconds, and it counts down from there?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Okay.
Yeah, and the room number, because we were not even aware ourselves what was our room number.
Okay.
Because we have not, you have just see at the beginning to enter in the room, and then you forget because, you know, with the age, when you become older, you are losing your brain a little bit. I don't know for you, but okay. So suggestion by Fractal Dog here to Dan Singjoy. Voilà.
Thanks, Fractal Dog. I'll look into that. I do remember seeing it at some point with the timer. I don't know how to do that, but I'll look into the Zoom settings and I'll do a search to see if I can bring that back. And then regarding the room number, I'll look into that as well. If you don't know your room number, then it's not the biggest deal. If you just, I mean, you could write anything basically. It doesn't have to be the technical room number. If you want to write 10, everybody in the group does it. But basically, it all goes on chain in the same spot. So having the same room number that's accurate makes it a little bit easier to see, but it's not really a big deal if anybody wants to just type in whatever number for the room number. I'm pretty sure that that would be fine, but I'll look into it this week and see if I can set that up for next week. Thanks, Fractal Dog.
That's those little improvement that at the end make all the difference when you zoom all those little improvement that make those process becoming more smooth. If you begin with a little thing like this, if you are not able to do a simple thing like this, how we can improve better our process. So that's part of our process. That's not an innocent comment and to have some fun here. That's really serious.
Yep, that's a good point. I will make a to-do note right now to myself to check it out. Or actually, maybe I'll write it afterwards, but I'll remember that and I'll re-listen. I've been enjoying re-listening to a lot of these as well. Sometimes I can learn a lot more by listening for the second time. So thanks, Fractal Dog, and pleasure to meet you. I see Eric unmuted, and I think maybe you're trying to say something. Was there anything you wanted to
Well,
share there,
just that a timer is available under apps.
Yes. Yeah, Eric, thanks for doing that, by the way, in our breakout rooms. And Eric does it quite often in the breakout rooms where he puts it up in like the corner of his screen for 3 minutes or so, which is helpful. And yeah, it's in the app section, which at least for me is on the right side of Zoom. I still haven't tried downloading it. I've played around with it, but I'm planning to do that. And I suppose that same thing could be used for setting the timer for the whole time of the breakout rooms as well. So I'll look into that and encourage everybody else to do it too.
One person could do one. The other
Mhm.
person could do individual. So you can have, each person can have a timer.
Yep, good point. And I'll also try to figure out how to do it myself too, because if I'm able to save the effort or thinking cognitive energy of people to think about that during the group by just figuring out how to do it as the host and making the Zoom room work better, then I'll do that. And that also goes back to what Sebastian was saying a bit too. Like the more we can automate these things so people don't have to learn this and learn that and learn that and so forth. And also the conversations we had previously, was something that Guillaume was excited about, and that we could build into the WebRTC user interface or whatever user interface we're building eventually. But I'll try to do it with Zoom, and then I encourage everybody, if I'm not able to do that, or I'm obviously not able to do it for the 3-minute or 5-minute talks right now in breakout room. So check out the Zoom app too if you want, or you could always just you can just hold up your phone and be like, hey, this is timer. People do that sometimes as well, which works. I saw Patrick. Was there something you wanted to say there? Fractal Holiday. Patrick's changing names often here.
I am just thinking if it is every of us that has to do our all best to have those kind of things into this hidden fractal, I don't see the point. That should be integrated into the system that we are building. That's not the point to have everyone is up and make his timer. That should be totally integrated. The same to reach consensus on to post on chain our consensus. Our tooling should be better. And also we cannot expect the people to approve an MSIG. Now, Sebastian, you are a delegate into our breakout room. You were stating, I want to be a delegate, and you are into the MSIG. So you have to approve the MSIG for the moment because we have not yet the process to automate all those things. That's still manual. But soon, and when I say soon with Firmament will be also used to have confirmers that will push on chain the things. That's the beauty. And that's what we have discussed into our last episode. And Tadas is building this to help this group to go always better and better and better and better. And by the way, Dan, you have a Zoom business, correct?
Yep, that's correct.
So in the Zoom business, you can allow those kind of features. I have also built now a Zoom business. Finally, I have built a Zoom business. There are a lot of features in Zoom that we have just to activate. And in other groups that are meeting into EOS, they have these timers. I have saw that already. So us, we are hidden fractal. So, and we meet in Zoom, by the way, not the best not the best tool. Soon we will meet into WebRTC, real-time communication, peer-to-peer. That will be very secure. That's what is building also Vlad with the platform with Matthias Schoenbeck. There will be WebRTC and all those kind of things. So here we are still into Zoom, but that's not tragic. We have the tool, we have to use them. And then we have the people and the moderation also. You say yourself, sometimes we speak too much, myself included for sure. So into the main room here, there should be also a timer when we speak. That could be great also. That's all for today. What else?
Thanks, Patrick.
Cappuccino, vodka, popcorn? No,
Well, we were talking
okay.
about cappuccino before. Eric told us how it was invented, kind of, but we can get into that more. That we can talk about other stuff too. Yeah, I also want to say I see Perry unmuted. Yeah, and the idea about codifying these and gamifying these, I think, is really interesting. And I think all of us sometimes I talk for a while, and just going back to what I was talking about, internal signals, like with internal signals like polls and stuff like that, we can let each other know, like, oh, go on about that. Because sometimes also we figure, oh, I don't want to talk too much, so I will stop it. But with signals and stuff, we can communicate better to see if we should communicate more or less or whatever. I see Patrick's changing to fractal sleep. I see Perry unneeded. We're at the top of the hour, so if we want to continue this conversation, we can. We could wrap it up at any point too if we want to. We usually go for another maybe half hour or so, and that tends to be what we tend to done. But we can wrap it up now if you want, or I can also, I have a presentation ready for the signals and notion stuff. I could also work on it more over the course of the week, but if y'all want to see it, or I could present a little bit of it, then I'm happy to do that. But we can go however people want to. Perhaps we could put a poll out, or you could just let us know, because there's a pretty small group here and we can just figure out whatever we want to do. But I'm happy to hear some feedback. Perry, is there anything you want to add, or does anybody else want to make a suggestions about the best way for us to proceed, or have any other ideas in mind?
Yeah, I'm curious about your signal, but before you do that, I'd just like to frame what I think I heard from Fractal Shout Out, Fractal Dog, Fractal Sleep, the Fractal Guy. When he says that we're going to do this and we're going to use this tool and we're going to do that, I think I'm hoping what he's saying is we're going to vote on it and then decide whether we do those things.
Okay, well, yeah, Fractal Shout Out wants to shout out a response there. I think some of it's not quite possible to do yet. And like there's a lot of design considerations about how it would work. But yeah, as far as whether it's voted for, or we could just try it out. I mean, technically we could just try it out as well, depending on what it is, because he said a lot of different things. The thing that I remembered from what he said specifically that I was referring to was about like having timers in the time after the community room, which is like, I don't know, I mean, we could just, anybody could put it up, but well, I see Fractal Shadow's got a hand up.
I'm referring to firmament, those kind of.
Okay, well, I see Fractal Shadow's got his hand up, so Fractal Shadow can respond to that if you'd like.
Have you already seen something that we say here that has been passed without that we do a proposal?
That's the problem.
I answer to you, Perry, and for everyone asking here watching this. When we want to do something here, we have to do a proposal, whatever it is. So my little brain of thought of the moment with the timer, with the room number, and whatever I suggest here, that's just suggestion. I am not in dictator mode. And by the way, sometimes maybe to move faster, yeah, we should have some delegates that are elected into the breakout room that are leading a little bit the ship, because sometimes we are, sorry to say, stuck at, or a little bit in mode pause, or I don't want to say depressed mode sometimes, because it seems to be that we are not moving so fast how we should move after 1 year soon. And six episodes of Hidden Fractal updates to unveil that we are just happy indeed. Yeah, I am happy, but I am also not blind, and no one is blind. We have to improve the things. So for those little things, if we cannot improve those little things, I don't see what it is so simple to improve, how we want to improve other things. So that's why I say do the thing step by step, not have the eyes bigger than the body. Otherwise, what can you expect? So, but sure, we will have a proposal. So next week I will do a proposal, timer, room number. That will be the name of the proposal. Time
I was referring to firmament. Firmament. That's
What
not
you
a small
want, we can use a pasta lasagne proposal if you want, or a grappa proposal, or a beer proposal, or whatever. But we have to move on here. What I want to
Yeah.
say.
So
Respect Dan, by the way. But yeah.
okay, so we can move on.
I understand.
Respect.
I understand really what Sebastian tried to before to say, with all the best words to use and to make that very ear into your sorry, that you can listen to that into the best way. He tried to express the best that he can, but basically what he would say, indeed, I will make a shorter. Improve, and we have to improve.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was more.
No, but yeah, sure, we have to improve, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Otherwise, we are always the same people here, and there will be no one that want to join. So
all right,
we
Patrick,
have to
stop being pessimistic over here.
Yeah, but I didn't want to cause this.
No, you don't cause anything. Indeed, you are just expressing what we are thinking. But there are not a lot of people able to have the balls and to say the things. So sometimes we need a Novabat, or you need someone else that is stating exactly what is the things. That's not lying. That's just expressing what we are living here. And we want to see the things going better. That's all. Then you hear that. And we are here to tell you the truth, because we don't want to be sheeps. We want to be lions here, and to work together in the best experience possible, as you say always. So that's not just Dance Enjoy Fractal. That's we are a group, and we have the right to say what we think. Otherwise, I don't know for you, but that's sad when we cannot say the things.
Yes,
now I go sleep. Bye. I am totally tired. I have to go sleep. Bye.
Okay. Thanks, Patrick, for sharing your thoughts. I can, yeah, I have some thoughts to respond with. Something you want to say there, Sebastian, first?
No, all good.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, thanks, Sebastian, for inspiring it. Thanks, Patrick, also for sharing those thoughts. And I agree, we certainly need to improve, and it's good to have constructive criticism and feedback and so forth. So that's appreciated. I'll also respond a bit to what Harry shared there and share a couple comments. Tadas said he has to go. See you next week. Tadas had said we don't need consensus for using a lot of tools, and he also wrote a similar thing in the Telegram chat too, in the live chat. And yeah, you wrote the same thing. So I agree. And certain things are very helpful to have a community consensus for, but also we're not able, it wouldn't be possible to come to consensus about everything, obviously. So lots of things we just need to discuss. And for example, the poll that I made about should we use more or rather should we use Telegram polls more often during meetings, there's a few people who said yes about it. But I don't think really anybody voted for it on the consortium, and we didn't do an official vote, but that won't stop us from doing Telegram polls more often during meetings. There's lots of things like that that don't require community consensus, but we can just try out as we go, and we can see. But also appreciate you.
So then why am I making proposals?
Yeah, I mean, trying out. Yeah.
So proposals, the way I see it, I share with you a couple of times. I think it's basically like asking questions to friends. It's should we do this? Should we do that? It's not do we need everybody to agree, or do we need consensus to do something? There's lots of things that we can do for free, and like the idea of the group is to one of the main ideas is or goals is to increase each other's independence and autonomy. So if we had to make a proposal for everything we did, that would severely limit our independence and autonomy. There are certain things that are helpful, like say, for example, if you want to change the time or change the process by which we come to consensus about things, lots of things where it's really helpful to not make decisions until we have consensus. But there's also lots of things that we don't want to restrict people from just trying out things because putting in barriers, but they have to come with a proposal if they want to just try this new thing. If there's not really a harm in doing it and just trying out using a new tool, like for example, if we were to use Firmament only and not use the current Antelope tools, like I think that's something that we should have a more larger discussion about, and like people should have a proposal about that. Basically, people want to stop using what we're currently doing. But if we wanted to try using it as an additional tool, just like we're using Telegram, or like we're using, oh, let's set up a new chat in Telegram or whatever, then I think it's best for us to just think of it as questions, like, should we do this? And it's a way to see what people's opinions are and just get a signal about whether we should try that.
Yeah, and on the MSIG part, it's like I was like the Princess Bee for the German Hive for, I don't know how long it went, like 9 months, I think, until EOS Bees 3.0 was released, and our hive was too small. And we did the MSIG thing as well. So we paid ourselves every month a salary for producing articles and content and so on. And it worked fine for everyone because everyone had to sign the MSIG for the payment to go through. But it worked fine because they all are or were already into EOS and knew how it worked. So basically, yeah, just to add to that, I mean, if we can, like, I don't know, if you have to know how EOS works in the Block Explorer and Anchor and so on, maybe reduce the friction on that front and not overthink too much, because like building like as Patrick said, like on chain or like governance tools on EOS is better than using the ones that already exist, and try to like take that from there and this from there and like, you know, make a concept out of it that we have to explain. Like if it's just like, yeah, go to this and that website and do what the website tells you to do, that's like, yeah, no friction basically. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from you, Dan, is that there are some tools that we need consensus on and some that we don't. And I'm confused as to what is the distinction?
Well, thanks for sharing your thoughts, Perry, and also briefly respond to what Sebastian was saying first. So yeah, thanks for sharing that feedback about that, Sebastian. And yeah, I agree. The more we can consolidate into one app, we're in like a million different apps right now, it's confusing. The more we can help people do it better. I've been looking into tools like the formerly EOS Detroit team, Detroit Ledger Tech, is building like an open source block explorer. I was also looking into Unicove, which the Greymass team is building, and also Tadas has been building tools with Vermin. Vlad's been building tools on Antelope with the WebRTC and stuff. So the more we can just figure out what works best and then consolidate it into one spot to make it really easy. And then also GNOME had an idea about having it like a video game. Like the first level, you play the tutorial, and it's like, go run here, and then go, you know, here's how you jump. You have to jump over this thing. So the more we can like help people have a fun experience and learning it all having one spot, the better. And most people don't have to deal with the MSIG, but that can also be trained and gamified as well to make it better to play and more fun. So thank you, Sebastian, for that. And then Perry, I think partly it's like we figure as we go. I don't know exactly in my head what things require a consensus and what things don't, just off the top of my head, like for everything. So a lot of times, like say for example, this morning when I made that should we use Telegram polls more often during meetings, I thought about doing that as T50 as a topic rather than TP50, which is a proposal. But then I was like, well, it's a question, and I could just ask and make it a proposal basically, and people didn't want to vote on it for whatever reason, but people expressed support generally. And it's the kind of thing where I suppose maybe like the difference is whether it requires collective action, maybe might be an answer to that. Like say changing the time, certainly I think should have a proposal because that requires collective action. That's like important when people are going to be here and so forth. It's also like if you look back at the spreadsheets about things that we've agreed to, like we agreed to the moderation guidelines, basically, which is like, you know, people generally respecting the idea to raise each other's hands and then elect me as a moderator and stuff like that. Like those are things that require collective action to be able to have some sort of collective consensus agreement to be able to cooperate efficiently. There's other things that fit that example, but those are just coming to my mind as, you know, some examples of things that require collective action, whereas something like, say, using a Telegram poll or using Telegram in general, like that's something that, okay, well, it's free for people to try it, and we wouldn't want to restrict people from trying it until they make a proposal. So there's not really a cost, and if people want to use it, they can, but if they don't want to use it, then they don't have to. Like, it doesn't require collective action. Like, in terms of people coming at the same time, that's a necessity for the community to like thrive. People knowing the same time, for example, or being able to have some sort of system that they cooperate. Whereas Telegram, I don't know. I mean, it could be a proposal, and we could say nobody can make a Telegram poll unless somebody passes a proposal. But I think ultimately, like, it's maybe a decision on a per topic basis, like a kind of a cost benefit analysis. Is it worth it for a proposal to need to be passed? In that case, I would say no, it's certainly not worth it. People can just make proposals, and I'm just kind of encouraging. And people want to vote yes or no, then could still make a topic of a poll in Telegram. So I don't know. I hope this has helped ease your confusion and helps make sense. I'd be happy to explore it deeper too. Like maybe it'd be good to have a better answer that's more like written out at some point. But as far as now, it's kind of just like playing it by ear and kind of a cost benefit analysis and what feels right and what makes sense. And I suppose like the one main defining factor that I could target, that I could specify is like, is it a decision that needs collective action? And it's like, say with Firmament, like we could try using it as a secondary tool without having it necessarily needing requirement action, but maybe it would be a good idea to do a proposal so that we could, if we want to have collective action where everybody's using it, or if, I don't know, for some reason people didn't want to use it or something like that. But anyway, those are some thoughts there, and I'd be happy to hear your thoughts if they help clarify, or if you have any different way of looking at it. Also, it's almost 3 hours, so I put out a poll previously. I don't know if anybody voted on it, about what should we do next, and I mentioned 3 options: about continue the current discussion, wrap it up, and talking about signals, games, and Notion. I'll take talking about signals, games, and Notion off the table now. It's not super ready yet, so I can save that for next week and repropose it, and then we can either wrap it up or continue the current discussion. Or if anybody has any ideas, I think we should wrap it up soon, within the next 10 minutes or so. But I'd be happy to hear your thoughts, Perry, or if anybody has any last thoughts they want to share. I see Sebastian waving. If you have to go, then that's cool. And really appreciate you sharing all your thoughts, Sebastian.
My attention span is getting pretty low, and I will join the fireside chat. So I would probably leave now.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Well, thank you, Sebastian.
It was an amazing meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
See you next week. Bye.
See you next week, Sebastian. Glad you enjoyed it, and I agree.
Yeah,
By the way,
I definitely have a response. The author of our current tools, which we're using that have not been voted on, and which is the same author, or no, is Tadas making Firmament? Is it Tadas?
Tadas is making Firmament, yes.
Yeah.
But the current tools that we're using are, we use Fractogram, which Tadas created to input to the EOS blockchain, and Vlad built all the integrations with the EOS blockchain.
So the
or
author,
most of them, at least. James also built a lot of it.
The author of some of our tools is suggesting we don't need consensus for using a lot of tools. He's creating a new tool which is overarching and comprehensive to many of the things that we do. And he's suggesting that we don't need consensus to using a lot of tools, which I assume includes that, his future tool and his past tools. Yet I'm making proposals for my tools. So that's a clear contradiction, and I don't think it belongs with us.
Interesting, Barry. So in the case of, say, Fractogram or Firmament, say Fractogram, for example, it's a tool that just makes it easier to use. Like, there's no real downside to using it that I could think of. All of the data that we use, it's stored on the blockchain, so it's like open source, open state. Like, everybody can see it. Basically, everybody can confirm that
That's not
it's
the
entering
point.
correctly.
I'm not putting on court the application. I'm talking about the act of reaching consensus as a group to use tools or not, and if we are, should we not be consistent across those tools?
We don't need consensus to use Fractalgram because some people can't use it. So it's impossible to have consensus to use Fractalgram.
That's beside the point. That's beside the point. It's a principle.
It's exactly the point, because
no,
Fractalgram is a tool that makes things easier. It was never intended to be something that needs consensus, because the whole idea of the firmament, which is not so separate as Perry tries to make it sound, is that humans can always verify things on their own. The fractalgram tool only makes it easier for us to manage the information. In the end, it's us as humans that submit the proposal. It only makes it easier, so you don't have to worry about the formatting. If we didn't use fractalgram, we would still be doing exactly the same thing, and that thing is exactly the same thing that's in the original fractally process. So there's no need to have consensus on a tool that nobody is going to use, that a lot of us are using, but nobody is forced to use. It's a community doing it by choice, not by vote. And we're also choosing to use Perry's DNUs or not choosing to use his DNUs in the same way. It doesn't matter whether we make a vote on it, whether we reach consensus, whether we have one kind of vote or another. Some things, when we have to come together as a community, require consensus, require a vote, require some process. Other things don't, and both fractalgram and DNUs belong to that category where they don't. We're not going to force anybody to use either of those tools, so there's no need to have to waste our time in having a vote on it, or even on having this discussion in the first place.
So you know enough about the firmament to say that.
I don't need to know enough.
Okay.
He was
Then
speaking
you don't
mostly about,
understand what I've said.
he was speaking mostly about the fractogram there, and I think that as far as firmament, I mean, that's not the discussion that we necessarily need to have now. As far as I understand, all the data would be open, so I don't see any downside to it, but we could also get more into that in the future. And just to add to that too, I know Perry, you want to say something, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts, but I just wanted to also add, the way I see with DNews is it could work in the same way as Noam was saying, where anybody can use that and we don't need a proposal. Like I go to DNews sometimes to just look at the different media that is curated there. There's a lot of like helpful stuff and it's got a great interface and like it looks cool and stuff like that. So I use it for that. I also link to it in some of the articles I've written to, you know, use it as a place where I can help promote work and curate work and stuff like that. So people can use on an individual level, kind of similar to how people can use fractogram on an individual level. And then the proposals you were making, I mean, you made a couple different proposals, but one of the general ideas was like, as I see it, and well, at first you had a different idea about like sort of a decentralized media asset control, but then we discussed that, and I saw Stas had sent you a message in Telegram that I think you agreed with, that it's like rather than having it framed as control, like having it more like kind of recommendations from Eden Fractal, and then in that case, if you do want like one, anybody can just use DNews, and then if you want some proposal where or some situation where say Eden Fractal delegates with the Eden plus Fractal process vote on data sources that are recommended on DNews, or if you want, for example, like mission statement or some other key information that's like pinned on DNews or something like that, then you can make a proposal to hear what the Eden Fractal delegates would think about that if they want to recommend that, and that makes sense. And then if you wanted to say, like, I don't know, is DNews the official place where you can learn about Eden Fractal or something like that? I don't know if you've suggested that, but having it something like that, then that's also something you could do. I mean, you could go out and just say that it is, but then again, that wouldn't have community consensus. So having that community consensus brings the legitimacy to it and brings that decentralized democracy to it and stuff like that. So I see Patrick is also saying he has to go and he wants to put on a hat. So I would say let's try to wrap it up. If you can stay for a couple minutes, maybe we'll just hear what Perry thinks, and then with that we'll all think about it and then keep discussing it in the Telegram chat and also in future meetings. I'm almost gonna be hosting a town hall this upcoming Monday. I put a message doing that every other week, so we can discuss it more there. If you need to see, encourage everybody to join, and we can discuss these in the Telegram chat and in future meetings and so forth. We could also bring it up as a topic proposal, of course, encourage people to do that. I see Patrick and Noam have their hats on, or Fractal Angel, I should say. I'm glad Lisa's still here too. You have to hear from me if you want to add anything. But perhaps, Perry, if you want to share some last thoughts there that we can all think about and discuss more before we do the hats and wrap it up.
I'm glad you brought up the issue of what Tadas suggested, that we turn it into the Eden Fractal is publishing their list of sources, right, as opposed to their controlling DNews. That and then the idea is that would be included in the firmament. Okay, so that impacts, if that's gonna actually happen, and we're gonna use that impacts the rest of us. That impacts me. Do I get an input on what is in the firmament? Do I that's going to basically manifest in a JSON file, in a protocol, in a data set that is expressing something that's coming from this group. Do I get to say, do I get any kind of approval or any kind of feedback as to what data items end up in that JSON file, which is a manifestation of the decisions of this group? I haven't seen anything about firmament. So at the very minimum, I would expect that we be able to vote on it and reach consensus. And this statement by him saying we don't need consensus for using a lot of tools, really?
Well, thanks for sharing your thoughts, Perry. And yeah, I think we should wrap it up in a couple moments so we don't keep Patrick for too long. But yeah, for a couple action steps, one, I'll share the video, and then I think we should probably tag to Das and see what he thinks. I do think that your last statement about really, I don't see any issue with that, because he's not necessarily saying firmament in specific, and I think it's completely true that we don't necessarily need consensus for a lot of tools. For most tools, we don't need consensus, I would say. But I also appreciate you thinking about this and the way you framed it about JSON. I think there's a lot of good discussions to have there, but it'd be best to have those with Das as well, and perhaps when we have more people and when we're not 3 hours in the conversation. So yeah, thank you, Perry, for sharing that. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to discussing it more. And I know Noam and Fractal Angel had their hats on. If anyone wants to share any last words, then I'd be happy to hear it. I also have my hat here too, so I'm ready to put it on and wrap it up whenever we want to.
The problem that's occurring across the globe, including the United States, has to do with the administrative state that is running the government. Let's just make that absolutely clear. The deep state, the administrative state, is the thing that is corrupting our world. Our tools that we use and the people that administer those tools is a form of centralization. No, excuse me, is a form of centralization. And it's not just a incidental minor issue. It's the point.
All right. Sounds quite dramatic at the end. Thanks for sharing your thoughts, Perry, and looking forward to getting more into it. No wind. Okay. Well, oh well.
I would say something before to leave. I would encourage Perry that you do a proposal with all what you just stated on the last sentence about the deep problem that you just mentioned now. Make a proposal to say that, and how we can maybe improve the things on the next Eden Fractal.
I'll also publish the video too.
Just my 2 cents. Just my 2 cents. And I agree, we don't need for everything a proposal just for a hat. Like now, for example, I have my hat. We don't need a proposal for that, for a timer or for a room number, for those kind of things that are some gadgets. But for change of time, like you stated, Dan, or for something fundamental, yeah, why not? But for those little things, we don't need even a proposal. I am agreeing on that. My 2 cents. But we are not enough people now to debate, because that's just my opinion. So what are thinking the other of this group? I don't know. But okay, so we close that. I have to search for my wife. I don't know if she is a wife. Sometimes it seems to be that I have a bot with me. So I have to go search for my wife. And what you think? We can close this one today, or
let's wrap it up.
No, okay.
Let's wrap it up now. We've been going for a while. I asked Noam to come back. He said he was going to leave for the hats. Maybe we'll come back. We could do without him. If Perry or Lisa, you want to join us for the hats,
Dan,
feel free.
Noam is lost into the space, I think. Lisa, you are here still? No, she's not
Lisa
here.
Said,
okay.
Lisa said, let's do secret actions after most leave. Let's do secret. Yeah.
Okay.
What a suggestion.
Dan, It's not even a hat that you have now.
It is
not
a hat.
cap.
Sorry, I've
Yeah.
been gardening, so I'm hot and sweaty.
You have not a hat,
Okay, hope you've
Lisa?
been enjoying the gardening. It looks like Lisa has her eyes on a hat right now.
Oh, you
she
have all
got
a
a cool
cap, and
raccoon
I
hat.
have a I have the padrino. I am the padrino here.
There we
Pasta
go.
tutti quanti, lasagna, ole! Okay, so we
Nande
wrap
bluva.
this one. At 3, 2, 1,
Oui.
0, we say go Eden fractal. Non de bleu.
Sounds
Okay, so
good.
raise your hand.
Perry froze, by the way, but all right. I guess maybe he's a bot. Okay, everybody ready? Shall
So
we start counting
3,
down? 3,
2,
2,
1,
0,
0.
0.
Go
Go
Eden
Eden
fractal!
fractal.
Eden fractal! Hallelujah!
All right. Thanks everybody for the great meeting.
And
See you
as
next
always,
week.
Perry
Thanks,
has
Patrick. Thanks,
left,
Lisa.
and we are just 3.
See you, everybody.
See you, Dan. Good job on this one. And Lisa, shout out and good luck. Oh, we are alone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Shout out. Bye-bye.